This week on the RC Shop, we continue work on the Highway 1 project's interior. We add some tunes to the shop, we work a little bit with Frank, and we start a Gulf racing paint job. Going to start this week by adding some details to the Highway 1 project's interior. Some aluminum pieces would make it look real nice. I do some kit bashing for some gauges that I can add to the center console. What is kit bashing? Well, if you're like me and you have a huge pile of models and kits laying around, dig through those things, find the pieces you need for the project you're working on. That's kit bashing. I also had the Fab Shop build a shifter gate, and this being Creepy Crawler's garage, a skull shifter knob. And for those dirty feet on a muddy day, I added some floor mats. The interior is coming along. I'll be adding a fire extinguisher and other details to the interior, but if you remember from the previous On the Bench episode, the Highway 1 guys and Scale Mob Scalers gifted me a Mob audio system. I was going to install that Mob audio system in the shop truck, but with the front engine conversion and the full interior, there just isn't room. Then I had an idea. A couple of holes, a little glue, and the shop now has a sound system. If you remember, a few weeks back, the boss hired Frank to sweep up the shop. Well, now he wants him to start learning some building skills. So we're starting a new segment on the show called Working with Frank. Here, check it out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're going to start by building a 1.9 garage together. A nice budget kit that would be good for any first-time kit builder. When building a kit, make sure and read completely through the instructions before you start. If you're like Frank and can't read, have someone read them for you. For each step, I like to lay out all the parts so I can clearly see what I'm working with. The instructions don't call for it, but I like to add grease to the gears, so I'll have Frank take care of that. Frank, no, don't eat the grease. The axle housings, the drive shafts, and the steering knuckles are all plastic. But it does have a full set of bearings. When building this kit, be very careful. The screws are very small and they're Phillips head screws, so they're very easy to strip. Here, show them, Frank. The servo is a Spectrum S602 nylon geared servo. Frank, stop eating everything. The shocks have plastic bodies and caps, which is to be expected for a kit of this price. This 1/12 scaled kit has a 390 sized brushed motor. When setting gear mesh, be sure to use a small piece of paper between the spur gear and the pinion gear. With the full assembly together, Frank, put that down. As I was saying, with the full motor assembly installed, you can see the frame rails are metal, everything else is plastic. Where did Frank go? Frank, what are you doing? I'm gonna take Frank to the hospital, but stay tuned for the rest of this build, because when it's done, one of you guys are gonna have a chance to win it, so stay tuned. Now we have one more project this week. The boss went out and bought a fancy car. It needs a paint job, so guess who has to take care of it? The kit is a Traxxas Fortec 2.0 chassis. The body is a Ford GT that needs a little color. The body, this Traxxas body, comes in 3 separate pieces. Now we'll need to fully paint these before we assemble it. The livery the boss is wanting is a Gulf Racing paint job, which consists of orange, a light blue, and black for details. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week, guys, but stay tuned next week as we continue these projects. Also, stay tuned and check out Ollie showing off his Creepy Crawlers bumper sticker. If you want your own, hit me up at the address in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.